สวัสดีค่ะ Welcome to Hot Thai Kitchen. Some of you may remember my video for ginger soy chicken that I posted a while back. Now that recipe was inspired by my grandmother's gai kim, which is what she does with her leftover poached worship chicken. Now, which means that that chicken is actually cooked twice. So for that video, I simplified it so that you only have to cook the chicken once and you can have it on a Wednesday night if you wanted to. But I just came back from a trip to Thailand and I had her original gai kim again, and I just could not get over just what a difference that extra cooking step makes. So today, I'm going to show you gai kim that is not inspired by my grandmother's recipe. This is my grandmother's recipe. So if you've got the time, definitely check it out. It really is an entirely different dish and so delicious. Let's get started. So we're going to start by poaching the chicken. So at this point, what my grandmother is normally trying to make is Hainanese chicken rice. And so I have a recipe for that too if you want to, but then we never eat all of the poached chicken. So then the leftover poached chicken gets turned into gai kim. So now we're just going to poach our chicken and directly put it into gai kim. So I've got here though parts instead of a whole chicken just to save us some time. It won't affect the end result. Make sure it's bone in. This part is very, very important. I like to do a mix of dark meat and white meat so that it kind of mimics a whole chicken. You get a mix of different textures in your end result. So now I'm going to add some water, just enough to cover the chicken. Now, aromatics, speaking of, I'm going to add some ginger into this poaching liquid. And also some garlic, which I've crushed so they're broken so all the aroma can come out. This next step is optional. If you have it, throw it in. If not, doesn't really matter. I'm just using the tops of my lemongrass, which I have left over from a different recipe. So I'm just going to throw those in. The top half of lemongrass is quite weak in terms of flavor. So it's just going to add a very slight citrusy aroma. And some salt. We want to season the chicken at this point as well. And I'm going to let this poach very gently. So the water shouldn't be boiling. If it has any bubbles at all, it should be very gentle bubbles because you want the chicken to cook as evenly as possible. If you've got a thermometer, 175, 180 degree Fahrenheit is great. So keep an eye on that. All right, so my chicken is done. And so for me, that took about 20 minutes. Now this liquid right here is absolutely delicious. So what I would do is take this liquid and cook your rice with it. In fact, you can make Hainanese chicken rice at this point with this broth. Use it in soup. It's so delicious. Or just serve it, skim off all the scum and then serve it along with this meal as a little bit of broth if you'd like. Now I'm gonna let the chicken cool a little bit just so I can handle it. And this step, by the way, you can do like days in advance and just put the chicken in the fridge and cook it up whenever you're ready. Now that the chicken is cool enough to handle, I'm just going to tear it into bite-sized pieces. And yes, definitely tear it because you want those irregular pieces, especially the small little edges, because those pieces are the best part. So I just tear it up. And by the way, at this point, if you've realized, oh my gosh, I undercooked my chicken a little bit, don't worry because you're going to cook it again, right? So this is the one part where you don't have to be super careful with it. So yeah, I just tear it up into, stir-fry friendly pieces, especially once you get to the bone and you get like small pieces like this. These become like really good. And when you get a long piece of chicken like this and it's hard to pull it apart with the grain, you get a mini cleaver. Yes, my new find from Thailand. And it's perfect. Look, you just cut it up. All right, this is the part where it gets easy. As I said, if you have leftover poached chicken, say you made Hainanese chicken rice, you can start from here. You can make this step in advance. So it doesn't have to be something that takes a long time. So I've got to walk in here. I'm gonna just cook up some garlic and ginger in a little bit of vegetable oil. Woohoo! Garlic and ginger. And yes, I add it when the oil is not hot. That way it heats up together with the oil and I don't risk burning the garlic. I'm actually gonna switch to my wooden spatula because it's not as loud. There we go. I don't like the shape of this one as much. It's a little too, this angle's a little too high, but for the sake of our ears. So once the smallest pieces of garlic starts to brown, I'm gonna go in with palm sugar, and I wanna add the palm sugar now so that it dissolves completely. If you don't have palm sugar, you can just use white or light brown sugar as well. And so the flavor profile is gonna be salty sweet. Make sure your heat's not too high at this point, otherwise your sugar won't melt before your garlic is burned. And of course you can press the sugar lumps down. This won't be a problem if you're better with the chopping of the sugar. I was obviously lazy and I just pounded it in my mortar and pestle. Okay, so now the chicken goes in. Woohoo! Give it a quick toss, and this heat will start to render out some of the chicken fat. So you definitely don't want to add too much oil in the very beginning. And if your chicken is fridge cold because you've made it in advance, definitely you want to make sure you give it enough time to heat up, right? Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with my seasoning. It is incredibly simple. Just gonna go in with some soy sauce and just a dash of black soy sauce for some color. You can also use dark soy. Woohoo! So now, black pepper. I really like black pepper in this. You can do white if you want. And now, would you believe it? This is pretty much done in terms of ingredients, but I want to keep cooking this until all that liquid dries up and the sauce penetrates the chicken. And that's how you get iconic grandma gai kem, is it's dry when it's done. And I like to once it starts to dry, I like to let it sit a little bit without stirring so the chicken starts to get a little caramelized and all the tiny little shreds of chicken almost become super caramelized and super good. Yeah, see? It gets nice browning there. I'm gonna give it another flip, let it sit one more time. Yes, that is exactly what we're going for. And now it's nice and dry and caramelized. That's it. Off heat and you're done. Look at this. Now, I'm gonna just finish it off with some chopped cilantro. And I forgot to mention while I was cooking it, if this is your first time, definitely give it a taste for saltiness, because as you can see, because it's so dry, the amount of soy sauce that you use will matter a lot, because everything is sucked onto here. So I often find that sometimes if my chicken's a little bigger than normal, I need to add just a pinch of salt. You don't have to add soy sauce. Just, once it's dry, add a little pinch of salt and it will kick it back up. So definitely give that a quick taste as well. Always serve this with rice, and if I had been more organized, I would have made rice using that chicken broth, but I wasn't that organized, so I'm just gonna use jasmine rice as an option, because normally my grandmother makes this using leftover Hainanese chicken rice. I always have the dipping sauce from the Hainanese chicken rice, and I like to have them together, and I think it's really good. The chicken is good on its own, but if you want something a little spicier, stronger flavors, then make this dip. I have a recipe for it, and I'll make sure the link is right up here. But for kids, this is perfect. All right. Oh, and see, I was talking about these crispy little bits, and I'm gonna taste it straight up first with some rice with no dipping sauce. This is a flavor of home, my home specifically, because I get this every single time I go. It's like my favorite thing my grandma always makes. All that garlic and ginger and soy sauce and sugar, it's completely penetrated the chicken. It's so flavorful. And even though we cooked it twice, some of you might be thinking that's gotta be like totally overcooked chicken. It's not, because by the time you start the second one, the chicken's cold, right? And so it took some time for the chicken to reheat back up. And if you don't overcook the chicken to begin with, the chicken is actually perfectly cooked. And oh man, there's just no words to describe it. It's sweet and salty, and that garlic and ginger flavor. I'm gonna try with my dipping sauce though, for those of you who like things a little spicier, a little more tart. Oh, this is so good. Oh, and you know what's even better? This with plain congee. For all of you congee lovers, this is the best stuff on congee. Oh, that's good. So that dipping sauce has lots of lime, garlic, chili, so it's spicy and tart, and it's the perfect complement to the sweet and salty chicken. So if you're serving this for your family, that's for the kids, this is for you. So I hope you give this a try. The recipe, as always, will be on hotthai-kitchen.com. When you make it, I definitely want to see it, so send me a photo on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. If you haven't subscribed to the show, please do so right here so you'll never miss an episode. If you love the show and you'd like to support us, check out our Patreon link. I'll put the link down below, and I will see you next time for your next delicious Thai meal.